we've got Chris on technical, Neil on insight, and Steve in the driving seat. It's Talking Formula One.
Hello and welcome to Talking Formula One with me, Steve, and Neil and Chris. How are you doing, chaps?
Super. All right. I didn't get the intro. I just saw the little light go on. I was like, oh.
And suddenly we're live. Well, thank you very, very much, everyone, for joining us. We're back as a three-piece this week, and it's been a good couple of weeks since we have been here. Obviously, anyone joining us from the Talking Town show, then great. We're happy to have you.
We had a pre-show, so it was always on time, you see. That's what the Talking Town was, wasn't it?
Yeah, we need to have a Talking Town show before every Formula One show, because then Neil will be here. But yeah, anyone joining us from the Talking Town show, they're welcome in.
Don't bet on it. It works.
We can get Wednesday to play Ipswich Town every week. We'll be fine. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been a couple of weeks since we have been here, so obviously lots has happened in the world of Formula One in the meantime. Obviously, the biggest of the news being that someone different has won the Formula One World Championship. Lando Norris has become the 35th different winner of motorsport's highest honour. But my God, that was a dull way to end the season, wasn't it? I mean, massive congratulations to Lando. I'm happy for him, but what a poor race to end the year on. What are your thoughts, guys?
Same as you, really. It always is, isn't it? I mean, I got stitched up a little bit and I had to watch it on a record, but after lap 5, I was like, I'm going to fast forward a bit of this because I know exactly what's happening.
I was out, so I didn't watch it live, and then I sort of had the result spoiled for me. And then, I finally decided tonight I was actually going to watch how it ended.
Yeah.
So,
Don't bother.
No, I wish I hadn't.
I was so excited. I wasn't expecting miracles because it's Abu Dhabi. It's never an overly exciting race, is it? But I had my cold beer there. I was ready for this. And
they quoted how long it's been since a safety car there.
Yeah.
It's a long while, and you know what that means.
Yeah. I think it's because there's so much anticipation of what was Max was in the prime position to throw everything at that, wasn't he? And he just went out and raced how he would, 10 races ago. He went. There was no backing up the pack. There was no real position in his car, so he could then. Charles was quick.
Me with a different point of view on him these days, but I just feel the pre-2021 Max, he would have held up the field. He would have done whatever it took. The Max now, I just feel he's not the same guy.
I've got the impression with Max, it's not so much the World Championships anymore. He just wants to win races. And that is just another race to win.
He's got his championships, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But part of it, could it have been that he was thinking, right, okay, so he could try and back the pack up and sort of do what Hamilton did to Rosberg back in 2016, but overtaking is nigh on impossible now. Is there any point? Because no one's going to be able to pass Lando anyway.
He could have given it a go.
There was Charles, wasn't there, a few times?
Charles Leclerc was quick.
What happens to that? The Ferrari's been a wheelie bin all season, and suddenly, when you don't want the Ferrari to be fast, it's suddenly one of the quickest cars.
Lewis was pretty quick, wasn't he? I mean, they're pretty handy. So,
the McLarens didn't really look like they were scaring Max at all, even though there was a duo behind him to cause trouble.
Yeah, I think Max might have played games if Oscar wasn't between them. I think Oscar being between them, he knew that Oscar was always going to be moved out of the way.
From what was said, Oscar was pretty much it was a done move. It was already within the team's guidelines. Just let Oscar go and run at Max.
I actually think turn 1 and turn 2 might have even been manufactured a little bit because they knew they were quicker than the cars behind, and by having Oscar as that buffer between Max and Lando, Max couldn't do any silly stuff because it was Oscar who, and then Oscar could have a go and see what happens. But I was just saying the race. Abu Dhabi is a terrible track. Thank goodness we
be a finale.
No. Brazil should always be the end.
Yeah,
I know. Abu Dhabi pay an absolute premium for it, but
they need to do a little bit of a change of layout to spice up the racing a little bit.
Yeah, they need to blow it all up and start again.
I've said it so many times on this podcast, but when they interviewed Kimi Räikkönen after he had his first few laps of that circuit, they said, "So Kimi, you've driven Abu Dhabi. What do you think?" And he said, "The first few corners are good. The rest of it is finish the word from there." But
You've got the 2 straights that you can pass on, and
the trouble is
that corner where
DRS
you can,
trains.
yeah. But isn't that down to the twisty section? And because I say you've got those 2 straights, and the second straight that goes into the bend where you could be inside or outside to get a good run around there. So I feel there is passing available, but certain elements of the rest of the track just.
Who knows? Next year with all the new cars, all tracks might be good tracks now, apart from Monaco, obviously.
How is this going to work? Because I watched some other things with describing how it's going to play out, and everyone gets front and rear DRS basically all the time whenever they choose in the designated areas. So everyone's getting it, so no one's got it.
So they're going to have a push. They're going to have a push to pass, aren't they? So they're going to have like 20 seconds on a lap or something. Well, might not. I can't remember. But you'll get within a certain time frame. You'll get a certain amount of extra power allotted, which will then become, the DRS replacement.
It's so frustrating.
It'll be more on how well the manufacturers do, and who will have to derate the first. Who will run out of charge? Who cannot get the charge back in? That's where it's all going to lie.
They're all going to. The whole lap is going to look complete. You're going to see people overtake, like in Singapore, where like down the Anderson Bridge, because the car in front has used too much power within the lap, and therefore has lost power. Or has had less power than the car behind. It's going to seem weird until the drivers are all driving differently. They're not. There's no longer full throttle out of a corner or anything. They've got to modulate the throttle to certain points to make sure they've got enough electrical energy for the whole lap. It's going to be an interesting first half of the season, I think, by people getting. You think of all the people who are used to at traction zones, just put your foot to the floor and go. You're going to have to re-teach yourself. You've actually got to look after the battery, make sure you've got enough power for the whole lap, not just, the first sector. So it's going to be interesting.
It just seems crazy that between when the rules were, thought of and until now, that they have decided to go more and more for the battery side of things, but have allowed no real gains. If anything, they've removed the H part to get more charge. They've removed that and haven't gained it anywhere else. They haven't added other places to gain charge.
I think what they need to do is get rid of all of that crap, stick a naturally aspirated V8 or V10 in the back of it with fully synthetic fuels, and away you go. I think that is the way you're going to make every F1 fan happy. Better sounding, better looking, probably quicker. You're not going to have all
pure racing is what
pure racing. How F1, the pinnacle of motorsport, has come to rely on a push to pass button to make the racing better is ridiculous.
There's a reason why Formula E hasn't taken off, really. It's because there's too much crap.
Yeah. There's simple cars. F1 should be about
tracks.
Yeah. F1 should be about going fast for 60, 70 laps without worrying about harvesting or any of that rubbish. Just balls to the wall for the entire duration of the race. But no.
But unless you're going to have refueling, you can't have that because
a certain amount of balls to the wall.
But you think the last 10 years, a lot of racecraft has been managing tyres. It hasn't been fuel. It hasn't really. Well, a lot. Sometimes it's fuel related because they underfuel the car because they've been heavy. But it's always
that's what
been.
I was saying about you can't go flat out because you'll have to have a certain amount of saving.
Yeah.
But to counter that, we know what refueling races used to be like. You'd wait till the pit stop.
Yeah. A couple of comments here from Metal Jace. I agree, Steve. I'd also remove the mirrors like karting. Well, this is a Grand Prix grid with Lance Stroll on the grid, so
mirrors aren't used.
Yeah.
They're so small and shake about. They half the time they can't see a lot out of them anyway.
That times they've fallen off. In the last few, go back to Abu Dhabi. In the last few laps, I was half expecting one of the racing balls to accidentally cause the safety car to come out.
I was waiting for Sonoda.
Faster.
I was waiting for Sonoda to do something, if I'm honest.
Well, he almost had Lando straight away, didn't he?
Quadruple weave down the straight and then go, what did I do wrong?
That was so dodgy. You've got a penalty. Why? What do you think? Bloody hell. And I saw everyone sort of kicking off because Sonoda got the penalty and Lando didn't, just because he literally had no choice. It was either that or plough into him.
If you go back to that for Sonoda, right? So he was the next car for Lando to pass a lap or so before he actually did it. Why didn't he in sector 2 literally almost pull up the handbrake, slow much down, but then he makes Lando follow him through the end of the second straight, all the way through that Marina section, slow as a dog like Sergio did.
I was going to say, Perez.
That's what the commentators said. Why do the dangerous manoeuvre down the straight when you could have lost 2 seconds through that
Yeah, exactly. As soon as the race engineer said, right, Lando's behind you, I don't know, 6 seconds or whatever, just pull the handbrake up down the straight, wait for him to come behind you as you go into that, that hairpin into the Marina section, and you just dawdle like Sergio did. And then you can lose 8 to 10 seconds, easy doors, and then Max is back in the game.
Yeah, that was amateur, wasn't it? But well, will it be the last we see of Yuki Tsunoda in a Formula One car? Who knows? It's hard for him to see a way back onto the grid for him now, isn't it? Surely.
The only possible choice is with who's buying bits of Aston Martin and whether Honda, not the season coming, but the one after that, will push.
I don't think Adrian Newey will push for Lucas Tsunoda in his Formula One car.
No, but from what I've heard, Honda are not pushing anything this season coming there, but they might, depend on how things go. And the more of Aston that gets sold, the less likely we'll have to put up with Lance doing his pathetic.
Haven't integrated Iwasa. Iwasa, he's gone to do Super Formula in Japan now. He was obviously a Red Bull junior. If Honda really, could be something for Aston Martin to look at as a reserve driver next year with a potential 27 seat. If Honda want a Japanese driver in and around. I mean, Yuki's done his time, hasn't done a lot. At the end of the day,
we also have to look at the inevitable. Alonso's not getting any younger, is he? At what point is he going to?
Until Lawrence Stroll says so, there's only going to be 1 seat available at Aston Martin, and as we've discussed many times, I can guarantee you there will be hell for leather for a Max Verstappen for 2027 if he is on the table to be available.
From little things I've heard, whether Aston Martin will be bought out, quite like McLaren is owned by people, I wonder if Lawrence will have to sell bits to.
He's a businessman, isn't he? And the amount of money he brought Aston Martin for and invested in it, he can still make a healthy profit by selling it because now F1 is in such a rich place around the world commercially. They're all even Haas are worth £1 billion now. They're all worth a big chunk of change.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking of around the world as well, recent news, F1 has announced it's returning to Portimao for a couple of years, 2027, 2028, going back to Portugal. And I don't know about you guys, but I was very, very happy to read that.
Yeah.
That had a couple of... Was it just once or twice we went there?
Twice.
Yeah, it was 2020, 2021 they went there, wasn't it? It was over COVID,
yeah,
wasn't it?
Because obviously we still had places like China we couldn't go to in 2021.
Was that the one that was also used in motorbikes as well? It did do some quite good racing.
It was really good.
Yeah, I think you're thinking Mugello. Portimao is more like GT car, but it's a great track. And I'm not so sad to see Zandvoort go if that's the replacement. So
no, I would rather say Portimao over Zandvoort.
It's a sort of replacement I can get on board with.
And it's nice that F1 is going back to a circuit that isn't either a boring street circuit or another sort of bank rolls type circuit. You know, it's an old school racing circuit. It's undulating. It's old. It's got gravel traps. Everything you want in the circuit. It's quick. That I love that downhill drop from the last corner over into the straight. That's brilliant.
I'm still waiting for the return of Malaysia.
Oh,
It'll never
break
happen
my
now,
heart. Breaks my heart.
It won't happen.
You said that so many times over the years on this podcast.
I say it, but it's not the right people backing it, is it?
No.
No, just imagine that it's brilliant sunshine on the Saturday for qualifying, and then it's an absolute monsoon.
I know the one we definitely won't be getting back, and that's Hockenheim.
Oh,
The forest has really grown back.
yeah, yeah, we can't quite have that one. No, I'd love to see F1 do a couple of races at the old Nürburgring, the Nordschleife. That'd be great, but probably not.
I never really get behind that track like so many people do. It just doesn't really do anything for me.
It's impressive, but it's daunting, isn't it? But other big news out of Formula 1 this week is that Helmut Marko has or will be moving on. So Christian Horner and Helmut Marko both leaving Red Bull in the space of 12 months. That was a surprise. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Considering how much he seemed to be on the winning side within that team, and now he's sort of being pushed out.
Long overdue, if I'm honest. You know, he's been a controversial figure in the last few years. Most recently, obviously, when he attacked Kimi Antonelli for his mistake at Qatar. He's not needed in F1. So, but it's quite funny, sort of hearing and seeing what he did do during the season, which is signing people left, right, and centre without telling anyone. That's old Alex Dunn and signed him up, and then Red Bull didn't have a clue about it.
Yeah,
cost him like $300,000 to get rid of him.
He's definitely been a controversial figure, isn't he?
Why did they sign him and then get rid of him? Why
no one, Marko did. It was Helmut Marko. It had nothing to do with anybody Red Bull. They didn't know about it.
Fair enough.
Outstanding.
Well, I heard a little bit about why did McLaren let him go so easy?
I assume he wanted to out of McLaren because he's got a contract at Red Bull.
Okay.
I assume that's the only reason I can think of is that they he's not going to get into the McLaren in the next couple of years, is he, Alex Dunn? So I wouldn't be surprised if they've sort of said, "Oh well, there's a Red Bull contract. Yeah, go ahead, feel free." But
I guess that depends how much you read into. Certain people believe that Oscar's been held back a little bit throughout the season, and they've sort of made choices not in his favour, and whether he's disgruntled, we'll see how the seasons come and go, and whether he'll be wanting a place out of there. It just depends how much you believe in all of that, really.
Yeah, well, time will tell, won't it? But old Marko's already trying to throw Christian Horner under the bus, and he's only been a week. So you can tell that they were the ones that loggerheads the whole summer or the whole year, and Horner lost out on that battle eventually, didn't he? But clearly Red Bull have had enough of Marko, and rightly so. I think it's time for him to head off into his nice retirement home and enjoy the many years he had under Red Bull.
Do you think Horner's going to find himself at another team? I know, was it Alonso was asked about him going to Aston, and he basically said, "We don't need anyone else.
I think
we've got all the people we need."
I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up at Cadillac. To me, seems like the place. Horner brought Red Bull into F1. He built them into an 8-time world championship team. Cadillac are an upstart. They're a big name, big brand, but they're an upstart. They've got
within F1 circles.
Yeah, they've got a good TP in Graham Loudon, but Christian Horner could be the person above him. The commercial directing, getting Cadillac equipped to be a challenger.
What do you reckon about going to a team like Ferrari, though? Because Ferrari have been underwhelming the past couple of years, and I know we've said before that their answer isn't just changing the TPs every time or changing whoever, which they have been doing so much in recent years. There's a bigger issue, but could he really transform it?
I don't think so.
It's the culture of Ferrari. Sorry, it's the culture, isn't it?
You've got the Ferrari owner who came out recently and said all of his stuff, and Horner likes to have full control. That's not going to happen within Ferrari. And then you've also got all of the different things within Lewis and what he wants to happen, and it seems to be falling on deaf ears. So
exactly. Look how much a struggle Lewis is finding getting change.
They're stuck in their ways and they won't do a thing about it. They're pretty much adamant that the drivers are wrong and they know what they're doing, and it's just not helping him or Leclerc.
I've worked for an Italian company. I know how Italians work. And they're very, very stubborn.
It's so frustrating, isn't it? Because they have got one of the strongest lineups on the grid, and they've got Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton in their team, and yet, I mean, Hamilton in particular has had such a struggle of a season. That car has been an absolute dustbin for a majority of it. Charles Leclerc dragged it to podiums. I know they got the sprint win, but it's been awful, and they will never question their methods or anything like that. It's always going to be down to the drivers.
2027 is going to be back in the next year, is going to be such an interesting time off track. Because if that Ferrari is a dustbin, Charles Leclerc's well in the market. He's in the market for another seat. I saw a stat that in 2019, him and Max had the same amount of wins. I think it was like 7 wins or something. Now Max has got 71, and Charles got like 13 or 14 or something stupid like that.
My problem is I've seen him bottle it too many times. I know it's not the best comparison to say similar to Vettel, but because obviously Vettel had all of his championships. But there's times where you feel like what Max does, where he is a cut above. You just don't see those mistakes from him.
So Charles Leclerc has 50 podiums, and of those, 8 have been victories.
I think it's 3 wins they had at 2019 together at the start of 2019. Now Max has got 71, and Charles got it's mad.
So it's mad. He won three last year, none this year. Obviously, none in 2023. 22 he had 3, and then 2 back in 2019. So he's had so many winless seasons since he joined Ferrari. And he's one of the most talented and highly rated drivers on the grid. He's got 27 pole positions, which is mad.
He does remind me a little bit of Fernando-esque in that Ferrari. You think Abu Dhabi, that car was nowhere all weekend, and then he was arguably the second quickest car for quite a proportion of that race. But he's not consistent with that. Max every week in, week out will put that car to its limits.
Yeah.
Whereas there's a mistake in Charles, isn't there? Even in the chasing down Lando, you think he's probably going to, lock up a brake or something, lose a couple of seconds and overheat his tyres. But problem is Ferrari. I've said it always. They don't develop cars, do they?
No.
They can start off with a good car at start of the season, and then by June it's petered away.
I'd say the season McLaren got their constructors removed, that season Ferrari improved.
That's a long time ago, Neil.
2008.
That's a long time ago. There's a lot of those people there at Ferrari then probably retired.
That's like other people have said, that the way McLaren of late acted or other teams, they act like they're new teams again. That there's so much turnover and change within these teams. They're not them big, constructors winners they were.
It's a big one for McLaren next season. I know obviously they're the dual champions or whatever, but they stopped developing that car a long time ago. They took a calculated punt, but they took a punt nevertheless to stop development on that car and concentrate on next year. And it almost cost them the Drivers' Championship.
It's a tricky thing, isn't it? Because a lot of teams stop development on 2025 early, or certainly well into the earlier into the season, to focus on 2026, but it would just cancel it out, wouldn't it? Because Williams stopped development really early to focus on next year. Obviously, McLaren, Red Bull were focusing on next year. But
Red Bull,
Martin,
Red Bull kept bringing updates, so I'll be interested to see how they fare next year. Obviously, they've still spent a fair whack of time on this dead car, effectively.
Could it really hurt them going into next year? So could they have lost ground to the likes of?
Or have they already seen their engine maybe a bit of a deficit, and next year's a bit of a write-off, so they've gone, let's hang out this year.
Well, yeah, Ford engine next year, isn't it? Saw a great video on TikTok the other day of Ford's first race with Red Bull, and it was the sound of a Ford Transit giving it the absolute beans off away from traffic lights, like one of the old Transits, I'd actually love to see a Formula One car sound like that. That would be brilliant.
They're not got wet belt troubles or catching fire or anything, are they?
Imagine that absolutely horrendous reliability record. Get off Ford. It's going to be really intriguing. I know we probably haven't got time tonight, but I think going forward, a show in a couple of weeks or so, in a week or so, I'd have to look at who really impressed us for 2025, who really didn't. There's a few candidates, I think, either way.
I did have a little think about this because you mentioned it. For me, Hadjar was a standout, good performer.
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly after Australia as well, when he obviously had that terrible time out in Australia.
And I came into the season with no expectation of him doing anything at all, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Do you know the underperforming driver or underwhelming driver?
Lewis.
No, Colapinto. He finished with the same amount of points as Jack Doohan.
Fair point.
Considering Jack Doohan only did 6 races.
Yeah. I mean, that Alpine was an absolute tractor, but
not even a point.
And there were some crazy races.
To be fair, he took on the drive when they were slowly getting worse and worse. Other teams have improved slightly, and
I just expected more, especially off that Williams stint. Every race, he might as well have not been there.
Well, we'll go into that next week. We'll have a look at sort of a more in-depth.
I think another good performer was Nico Hülkenberg.
Nico.
Finally got his
big. I think we've all seen that one.
Yeah.
Him and Danny Rick.
Get some opinions as to why they impressed us, team and driver, and who team and driver really let us down, or who disappointed us. Get some reasons on that as well. Because there's some good candidates, I think, certainly for both ways. But yeah, Matt, just going back to what we talked about first, now the season is done. It's a bit like, cool, so now my weekends are free. I've got an excuse to go outside and see people again. But yeah, massive congratulations to Lando. Oscar will be a world champion. That I 100% believe. Give him the car and the chances, and he will be a world champion.
I think it's difficult because there's been drivers that I don't feel have quite matched the numbers of titles they've got. And then there's others out there that you think, they deserve one. And, Alonso, he stands out. He hasn't got half as many as he deserves.
No.
But
he always managed to talk his way out of a championship winning car.
Yeah, but that was Jensen, wasn't it? He was at BMW Williams. He left them when they became good.
Yeah.
And then he left Renault when they became good. And he paid out of his contract to go to BAR Honda. And then they had all their troubles. Yeah, he's never in the right place, was he?
It's a bit like Webber as well. I think he had the choice of joining Renault or I think it was Williams. Because he went to Williams in 2005 and he had the choice of joining Williams from Jaguar or Renault, and they went Williams. Ooh, that was a bad choice for 2005. Who knows how different his career could have been. But it's one of those things, isn't it? All these drivers that should have titles and don't, and all these drivers that have got more, and you think,
there was a couple of times that Webber really qualified in brilliant positions, and then it never really, came to anything.
Yeah.
More when he was in the weaker of his teams of his career.
The Jaguars.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of our little show this week. So thank you very, very much for watching. We shall be back next week, of course. Well, potentially it's obviously Christmas next week, isn't it? So we might be. Who knows? It might be a couple of weeks again. But if we don't see you between now and then, have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you very, very much for watching. Hope you did enjoy the Formula One season, of course. And we shall see you. Well, keep an eye on all your socials. You can follow us on all the social medias, Talking Formula One. Thank you very much for watching. We shall see you later. I've been Steve. He's been Neil. He's been Chris. See you later.